Most people are just trying to buy one house to live in because they got to provide shelter for their family. That's the extent of what real estate does, right? So that's the case with cryptocurrency as well. People are not buying Bitcoin as a get-rich-quick scheme. I mean, if they are, they're in for a major disappointment. The crypto market had a couple of iterations, obviously going from $800 a coin not 5 years ago to $50,000 a coin was one of those iterations. But today, as crypto takes hold as an actual marketplace, you're going to see growth, but you're going to see growth over a long period of time.
Check, 1 2 1 2.
Turn it up, turn it up.
Welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast.
The tides are turning. The time is now.
Your home for the mindset, methodology, and tools needed to invest in foreclosures.
Don't you dare buy a house, buy a deal. You need to get into this right now.
Right now, yeah.
And now your host, the Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donny Corum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donny Corum.
Oh yeah. Here we
Recording
are.
with our studio audience, and that sultry voice you're hearing in the background is none other than the executive producer, Mr. Jonathan Winston. Make some noise out there for Jay.
Thank you. You're far too kind.
How are you, man? How's life?
Life is good, man. We have team meetings all the time, and a lot of those meetings you talk about investing and just the importance of, you can't save your way to wealth. You got to invest and, make some plays to see that money double and, quadruple or however you can. So I've just been doing that, making some investments in the market and, working on a couple of other different projects that'll, end up, building some residual income and some passive income over time. So just investing.
Building the empire.
Yeah, investing in portfolios and investing in myself. So
love that, man. Good for you. One of the things that keeps coming up is the cryptocurrency market. And you had mentioned you had signed up and gotten into cryptocurrency. Real quick on that. How'd you get started in that? Like, what did you do? I mean, I got a decent amount of crypto, but I'd like to hear people's beginning story and investing in general, whether it's your first real estate deal, your first crypto investment. Sounds like you did your first investment in crypto. What did that look like?
So actually, I'd been invested in crypto space for a while.
Okay.
I originally got in it maybe a few years ago with a good friend of mine back home, Eddie Poole, shout out Eddie, and Refinery Cannabis Dispensary in Oklahoma City, one of the top new medical cannabis people out there. So he's doing it big, but he's kind of just just a researcher type of dude. Like once he gets into a subject or gets into something, he just falls completely in. So the initial one that I invested in was Tron. And, it's been a while since, I'd put that money aside in that and, just kind of let it set it and forget it. But I kind of got back into it recently, bought some, what did I get? I know we talked about Shibby, Shibby and you. I got some ADA, some Cardano.
Yep, picked up some of that, yep. I want to get some XRP, but I don't think that's on crypto.com. So I'm going to have to, Ripple, no.
So I'm going to try to get into another wallet to be able to purchase that. I downloaded another one there. And I think I got some Litecoin, and then with me being on crypto.com, I purchased their coin as well. Just,
CRO, yep.
Seeing the potential trajectory of it. I really like the actual interface of it because with a lot of investment platforms and stuff like that, you'll have the debit or you'll connect it to your account. You make the transaction, and it's like, oh, okay, you got to wait and see how things stack out. And, it might not show up immediately, but like with crypto.com, it's just like, buying a piece of gum or like a candy bar. You make the investment, make the purchase. It shows right up. Once the trade goes through, you got the coins in your account. So really simple. So
it is really simple. And we bring it up. Obviously, this is the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast.
Right,
so
what are we talking about?
It sounds like we deviated, but today's title is Crypto versus Real Estate Investing. What's the better choice? So we always start with an article. It's just sort of our tradition here on the show after a couple of years. And I picked up this article from Forbes magazine, one of my favorite money mags. And it talks about how Bitcoin versus real estate, which investment is better for you? Well, obviously, your your foreclosure deals coach, is going to talk to you about the importance of investing in real estate. We talk each and every single week about not approaching your house purchase as a house, but rather buying a deal. It's the fundamentals of what we discuss here on the show. But let's face it, there are some alternative investments out there that might give real estate a run for their money. Now, obviously, everybody who's in investing knows the Bitcoin story, how much it's gone up in recent years. I believe just this morning, Bitcoin's trading at about $50,000 a coin, give or take. But I remember about, let's say 5-6 years ago, okay, I'm sitting in it's now one of my rental properties in the Colorado Springs market, Northgate, and I watched this documentary on Netflix that went over the details of how Bitcoin works, how it functions, and how it's going to be the future of currency in general. Now, I'm an action guy, okay? This podcast requires action. Investing in real estate, we have 12 flips going right now, requires action. We did 40 flips last year because in coronavirus, like the worst market we've ever seen in a while, turned out to be the best market for real estate. That's a discussion for another time. Right. But that took action. And this year, we're looking to do 75 flips. We have 12 going right now, like I just said, and it's requiring a great deal of action. So being a man of action, I went in, I opened an account on Coinbase while I'm watching the documentary, maxed out one of my credit cards, and bought Bitcoin, $4,800 worth of Bitcoin at that moment. At the time, this is going to kill you because it kills me just to tell you, Bitcoin was trading at $800 a coin, right? So I bought $5,000 worth, 6 coins approximately at $800 a coin. And when it went from 5,000 to like 8,000, I was like, man, that was easy money. And I sold it. I mean, $3,000, and I was so excited.
$3,000.
Today, that investment would be worth, I don't even want to talk about it because it makes me sick. Yeah, but those 6 coins would be worth about $300,000 right now. Okay. So the takeaway from that is, are we doing that in the real estate market? Well, let's face facts. Okay. Every era has a thing that's going to be the deciding factor in the wealth transfer, okay? Every era has a thing where if you had invested, for instance, in tech stocks in the year 2000, okay? If you had invested in tech stocks, you would have blown away the returns of anybody or any real estate purchase we could talk about. You're talking about buying Apple stock, trading, in the $200, $300 a share range back then for $30 or $40, okay? And it went up so rapidly, split multiple times, created a bunch of millionaires. That was the thing. If you go back to the 80s, you had the junk bond era, the penny stocks that were out there where people were making, and listen, we got to face another fact, which is kind of a lottery ticket. Right? It's kind of you just cannot know what the next big thing is going to be. Obviously, if we knew what Bitcoin was going to do 5 years ago, you would have invested your life savings, any amount you currently have into real estate, right? You might have sold one of your children on the open market to see what you had gotten for them, right? You would have done anything you could if you had known that Bitcoin was going to go from $800 a coin to 50,000, right? But how could we have known that? Well, we couldn't have. Like, the harsh reality is the key to this really big investing is that you can't know. So let's start in this round, like in this corner, you've got real estate.
Ding, ding, ding. Here we go.
The heavyweight champion of investing for decades, right? If you had put money into real estate back in the 80s, and just held on to it for 20, 30, 40 years, those houses would be paid off right now and worth, 8, 9 times what you paid for them back then in the 80s. On top of that, they would have thrown off a rental income that you would have pocketed and could have invested into Bitcoin or any number of other things, right? They've gone up in value. You paid down the mortgage. If you've got rental properties, somebody else is doing this savings for you. So they're literally paying down your mortgage while it goes up in value and providing you cash flow. It is hard to argue going back 40, 50 years that real estate is the heavyweight contender of investment, period. Okay? There has simply not been a single vehicle that has created more wealth over a long period of time than real estate. Okay. Next up, you have the stock market. And I know some people are going to argue, no way, man. Stock market has always blown real estate away. I'm sorry, that's just not accurate. Okay. The stock market has seen some massive collapses. Now, this is not to say that the stock market didn't go way up during certain times. It is not to say that real estate didn't experience some massive collapses. But right here in the Colorado Springs market, where we're fundamentally founded out of, we're recording from our Colorado Springs studio right now, when we hit that really bad portion of collapse in the Colorado Springs market, we dropped a grand total of 12%. That was at the bottom of the market, okay? So the argument that there's been any comparison to the hits in the stock market are just preposterous. That you have just major wealth shifts where you're looking at in the 80s and 90s and even in the 2000s, the dot-com bubble, the market went down 30, 40% at a time. The wealth was simply devastated for periods of time. And it still happens in small bumps today. No, we don't see 30, 40% drops in the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones Industrial, but we do occasionally see that happen in stocks, right? And of course, we see that on the flip side. The problem with the stock market versus real estate is that the reasoning is hard to define. Why does the stock market get hit, right? We go to war with somebody. That's a big one, right? Major economic collapse. We had a mortgage market meltdown in the 08 market. We had the dot-com bubble in the 2000 market. The reasoning is a little unpredictable and a little hard to tell what happens, okay? Real estate, on the other hand, does drop occasionally, but because one of the human needs is shelter, it never stays down for long, right? Because we all still need housing, unless we suddenly switch to living in huts and teepees, right? And I don't know about you, but my teepee better have an 83-inch flat screen in it.
Yeah, an air conditioner.
Right? It's going to be hard to fit that up in my teepee, so I'm pretty sure we're not going back to that. We're probably not going to move back into caves. There aren't enough of them, right? And the lighting kind of sucks.
True.
Right? And kind of bears have claimed that spot anyway. So unless you want to fight with a bear, I don't think you want to do the cave thing, right? We know that real estate overall is always going to become a necessity because it's a basic human need, right up there with food, right? So the food market's not likely to collapse. The real estate market's not likely to collapse for long, but we can argue that the real estate market is trading at all-time highs right now. We are simply, no bones about it, we are overpaying for real estate in ways that we could have not have possibly fathomed 5, 6, 8 years ago. Nobody thought the average price of a home right here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, the average home in this city is now $500,000. Okay, in Denver, our neighbor to the north, about 60 miles up, we're talking it's about 625 right now. Okay, that's 600,000 American dollars to purchase a door, some windows, and a roof. Right? How does all this tie to crypto?
Right.
Well, what we have now is a bunch of money is shifting out of the American stock market and out of the real estate market and heading into the cryptocurrency market, which is kind of silly because what's the backing on cryptocurrency? What is Bitcoin ultimately worth?
It is I don't know. It's
fictional.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
I was trying to find a better word than that.
It's fantasy. Right? Bitcoin is worth $50,000 a coin because the market says so. It has no intrinsic value. It's just vaporware. It's software. And we are investing in software. And as if that's not crazy enough, you've got about 200 different cryptocurrencies that have even less backing because there's less market for them popping up. One of the big ones you probably heard about was Dogecoin, right? Which was a joke fundamentally. This guy was like, well, I can set up a cryptocurrency. Right? He built out this cryptocurrency, somehow got Elon Musk to notice what he was doing. And Elon Musk is now calling himself the self-proclaimed Dogecoin king of the market. And every time he mentions it, it goes up drastically. Okay. So, but there's no backing. So the market is simply a fictional market created on air. Is that a bad thing? One would argue that the real estate market is tangible. I can go to the house, I can walk inside, I can get shelter, I can get warmth. But because of that tangible nature, is that a limiting factor or a benefit? And that takes some time to process, okay? Because I believe that it's both. On one hand, because it's tangible, it can't drop down to zero. right? It will always have some value because you're going to need shelter to some degree. The materials have a value, right? The fact that it can provide a place for your family to live has a value. And the fact that human beings will always need a place to live maintains a value. On the flip side of that, it can only go up at a certain pace, which I'll be honest with you, the pace it's going up far exceeds anything anybody expected in the last couple of years, okay? But it is kind of limited to what people will pay for it. Not so much with cryptocurrency, right? Because it's intangible, the limit of what it can go up to is only limited by really our imagination. Right? Did you think Bitcoin would see $50,000 as a coin?
No, not when when I originally heard about it, it was like in a, I don't know, like this, I was getting a burger with somebody.
Okay.
And there was a girl that I knew and she was having like a meeting with some guy that was just talking about it. And she's like, hey, did you come over here and listen to it? I'm like, we're just kicking it. And like, no, come over here. And so we go over there and talk to him about it. And like, I learned a little bit about it. And it's like, okay, that's a, I understood the concept generally. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I'll put money in it, but whatever. Not being smart as I am right now, I probably should have put money into it.
Obviously.
But it's, thinking about it back then, I don't even want to like talk about how much I think he said his Bitcoin was worth back then, because it's like in the hundreds. Like you say it was 800, it might have been less than that when I talked to him about it. So it's just like
painful.
What the hell?
Right. So here we have this massive wealth transfer. Like you're following these young kids who are playing crypto at a very entry level. And I say young kids because let's face it, the stock market, the old stodgy guys who have been playing the stock market for years, they don't understand this at all, right? Hi, this is Donny Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. One question I'm asked all the time is, how do I get started in real estate investing? Here's the thing. In order to get into the game, you got to have access to the big data that drives the real estate market. After all, you wouldn't trade stocks without a trading platform, and you shouldn't get started in investing in real estate without dealhunter.io. Dealhunter.io is an application that I use daily to find the best deals in the real estate market, to provide that information to my lending partners so I can fund those deals, to know how to fix those deals, to bring them in line with the market, and most importantly, how to sell those deals at a profit. So if you're looking to get started in real estate investing, head on out to dealhunter.io and sign up for a free 7-day trial of the PropStream application that'll separate you from other competitors of the real estate market. With that, this is Donny Corum from dealhunter.io reminding you, don't buy a house, buy a deal. They don't want to. So most of this market is being driven by meme coins. Like Dogecoin is basically what they call a meme coin, which means it's being driven by traffic on the internet. The more people talk about it, Reddit being one of the major, offenders, for lack of a better term, right? So you got Reddit out there. One guy starts talking about it. That turned into a stream of people talking about it. And Reddit's like creating this market for it that drove Dogecoin from a unheard of to like 27, 30 cents a coin right now. Real estate, you're not going to have a conversation on Reddit about a house in Colorado Springs, right? It's too small of a market for a national platform. So getting back to our question, which is the better investment, crypto or real estate? The answer is both.
Yeah, for sure.
You see what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to come to a conclusion where I'm going to tell you guys with absolute certainty, you need to stop what you're doing in real estate investing, right? Whether it's your home or buying a flip or buying a rental property and move all your money over to cryptocurrency. But I am going to tell you that if you're leveraging your real estate to put into cryptocurrency right now,
smart man.
That's a smart play. You see what I'm saying? Because we know that we're as high as Bitcoin is at $50,000 a coin, with all of these sister coins and cousin coins that are popping up under Bitcoin right now, Ethereum being a huge one, Dogecoin, which we've mentioned, and my favorite right now, Shiba Inu coin, right, which is like 0.00008 cents. A coin right now, right? I own 200 million of them, which sounds super impressive because, man, 200 million,
big
right?
Number.
But it's about $1,200, right? It didn't even cover my Range Rover payment at this point, okay? So it's not a ton of money invested, but it sounds very impressive. On the flip side of that, if, and I know this is a huge if, but if it gets to 1 cent equivalent US dollars, 1 penny a coin, that portfolio is worth $2 million, right? Is that likely? I don't know, right? We're playing the crypto lottery right now. The other side of it is, how long ago was Bitcoin formed versus when it became $50,000 a coin, right? We're talking an 8 to 10 year gap, pretty easy. Right. So this belief, because you've seen it on, Facebook, Instagram, etc., that crypto is going to do this overnight is just you gambling, bro. Right. You have to look at all of these investments, including real estate, as a long-term investment. We did not know in the 90s. I remember, growing up, my house in Briargate, North Colorado Springs area. My parents bought that house for $90,000. Okay. Today, you can't buy a closet in this neighborhood for $90,000, okay? Because that same house is worth probably $500,000 right now. Wow. If we had known that, how many more would we have bought? Well, a lot, duh.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not the mindset of the private investor. The mindset of the private real estate buyer. Most people are just trying to buy one house to live in because they got to provide shelter for their family. That's the extent to what real estate does, right? So that's the case with cryptocurrency as well. People are not buying Bitcoin as a get-rich-quick scheme. I mean, if they are, they're in for a major disappointment. The crypto market had a couple of iterations, obviously going from $800 a coin not 5 years ago to $50,000 a coin was one of those iterations. But today, as crypto takes hold as an actual marketplace, you're going to see growth, but you're going to see growth over a long period of time. You see what I'm saying? And where's that growth going to come from? Well, it's much like real estate. In real estate, when everybody's renting, okay, then the price of real estate kind of stays a little bit stagnant. It goes up a little bit, but not like it does when everybody and their mom wants to buy a house right now. And why does everybody and their mom want to buy a house right now? Well, the big overarching reason has always been getting your slice of the American dream. Right? As an African American, the real estate was part of the 40 acres and a mule we were supposed to be granted with our freedom. A lot of people got screwed on that deal. Ask Spike Lee about that. He can go into detail or don't. He gets upset real fast. The real estate was part of the American dream. You bought a house because you wanted a part of the American dream. But was that accurate? Well, when the market collapsed in the 80s and they were really pitching that American dream thing, people quickly turned real estate into the American nightmare. Oh my God, I'm underwater. I can't give this property away. Interest rates are in the 7 to 8% range, so nobody wants to buy the property and take on my mortgage. It became a real dangerous storm very fast. Okay. Today, we've forgotten about that year so many years ago. We've forgotten about the time that there was a point where real estate was not, in fact, a good investment. But where we are today, there's no argument at all when everybody's trying to buy, real estate's a great investment. And that buying is being pushed by, wait for it, there's so much money in the market being printed by your federal government who keeps influxing trillions of dollars. They just keep printing more and more money, dropping the mortgage rates down into the 2s and 3%. And I remember we started recording this show almost 2 years ago. I said, there's no way rates can stay down this low for very much longer. Wrong. Sorry.
It's been a while.
Right. I just stopped saying that. Like, I'm not even going to look stupid anymore. I'm not going to say it. Okay. Because clearly the government can keep printing money. Okay. But the same argument that we're making that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general has no backing applies now to the real estate market and money in general, because we left the gold standard 30, 40 years ago, where all the American dollars were backed up by bars of gold, to now, what's the American dollar backed up by?
Ask the Federal Reserve. They'll tell you.
Nothing.
That's probably what they're going to tell you.
It's air, right? Because we can just print more of it. So is it any different? And if that's the case, why not invest in cryptocurrency? If the dollar is no more secured than Bitcoin, because there's no backing, now it's just a question of who can drive the most marketing towards their coin. And the heavyweight champion of crypto right now, because you've all heard of it, is Bitcoin. But you might not have heard of Shiba Inu coin until this conversation, right? You're just now hearing about Dogecoin, and that's if you're paying attention. And a lot of you all aren't paying attention, right? So when crypto becomes as normal as the US dollar, are you going to wish you had done this now or waited till grandma hears about this?
I think I've already heard about people accepting mortgage payments in crypto, like mortgage lenders accepting crypto for payments. So
absolutely. I'll take that a step further. The first crypto-based real estate purchases happened about 2 years ago.
I mean, come on. So
title companies are taking it. You see what I'm saying? They're behind. By the time my mom whips out her phone and pays for something in Bitcoin, and that's going to happen, but by the time it's that commonplace, it's too late to get involved. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You've already missed it. It just becomes a normal, stable market. You've got to get in while the market's in instability. And I'll tell you right now, much like the real estate market, the crypto market right now is battling for who can be more like the wild, wild west right now. It's unsecured. It's unregulated. It's running unchecked, right? Real estate has a decent amount of regulation, but if they were really regulating the market, they'd be controlling interest rates. They'd be preventing the increase of properties from $380,000, $400,000 as the average to $500,000 in almost a year and a half.
I mean,
there's no regulation. It's running unchecked.
It doesn't make any sense. I distinctly remember coming into Colorado when I moved here, talking to you, like, yeah, homes in Colorado Springs, they're around like $350. Yeah. Homes up in Denver, they're around like $500. Yep. I've only been here for 3 years.
Right. And now $625 and $500.
That is an incredible amount of appreciation right there.
Incredible. And we're not alone. You can go all across the country, Louisville, Kentucky, Tampa, Florida. Right? When the big cities, the San Diegos and the New Yorks go way up, we don't even pay attention because that's become so normal that you can spend $15 million on a 3,000 square foot condo in the city. Right? That's just New York prices. If you're in LA, you're trying to buy a house in Hollywood, you're preparing to spend $4 million, $5 million as an entry price. That's normal out there. But when that's happening in hometown America, Colorado Springs, we better start paying attention. What's driving it? Printing money. What is Bitcoin? Printing money. Okay. So those parallels are there. So the point is my advice to you, okay, as an investor is keep doing what you're doing in real estate investment. You should be buying to flip. We buy to flip because we produce an income that way. With 40 flips last year, produced a hell of an income, right? Best year we ever had financially. It was great. Okay. My clients, myself, we did extremely well. This year, we're flipping a ton. We're doing very well. But as my mentor would tell me right now, he would smack me on the back of my head and he would say, you need to be holding on to more properties, bro, because you're giving away a lot of future appreciation. And I'm looking at houses that I sold last year for $280,000, $290,000 that I was excited about getting that for that are now worth $350,000, $400,000. Wow. Right? So if I had held on to those, I would have already built my net worth. Man. Right? So I'm looking at crypto the way maybe you should be looking at crypto is as a buy and hold investment. Okay. And I promise you, your financial planners, your accountants, your CPAs, especially your stock guys, are not going to give you that advice. They're going to say it's too volatile. It's too dangerous. You could lose your investment, all of which is 100% true. But let me ask you something. Are you prepared to get by on a modest increase in your portfolio, or are you trying to get rich?
I want to get rich, and I don't know. We're going to try to keep this short, but I was watching the Earn Your Leisure podcast, and they have their Market Mondays where they just go over stocks and different things like that. And he brought up a good point. It's like, if you invest in some random coin, just the most random Bitcoin piece ever, or altcoin ever. Yeah, you'll probably lose your investment because there's a good chance that nothing's ever going to come from that, and nothing's going to come.
Right, but if it does, you're
going to win something good. But it's like if you invest in the big players in the market and find ways to invest in like the top 10% of the market, you just hold and
do well.
You're going to do well. So it's like, the coins that we named off today. So you can do your own research. We're not financial people. This is not financial advice, but this is just do a little bit. Leverage what you're doing and just put a little bit aside. It'll be worth it if you just hold on to it.
And I'll tell you what I'm doing, just to give you an idea on how I'm investing in it. So I got this Turo side hustle, right? And Turo basically is private party car rentals, like Airbnb for cars, right? For those who don't know, right? And I got a slingshot in there. That's all I've got. I bought a slingshot. It was a fun weekend toy. I'm not going to use it all the time, so I'm renting it out. The thing is bringing me in about $1,000 a month in positive cash flow right now, which is pretty cool. I get to use it some weekends, and most of the time it's rented out. I'm taking all that $1,000 because I could just, go play with that because it's not money I need, and I'm putting it all into crypto right now. Right. So I'm letting my other assets pay for my investment into cryptocurrency. Right. I'm not telling you to revert your retirement strategy. I'm just saying a percentage based on your age, that percentage goes up, but a percentage of your assets need to be in perceived high risk, high reward investments. And again, if we had taken that attitude with Bitcoin and you had put $10,000 in back then,
you wouldn't be talking to me right now.
You'd be done. Like, this conversation would be over. I made $1 million in Bitcoin, and that's really what I want. I made a lot of money in real estate. I've done very well in real estate, but I'm not going to kid you. When this is over, when people say, "Hey, Donnie, how'd you make all your money?" I honestly want to be able to answer cryptocurrency, bro. Right. That's really how I want this to end, because I think real estate, again, it's been done. I've done it. I've built a 7-figure net worth off of real estate. Like I'm there, right? But going to the next phase is going to require diversifying some of the portfolio that I've got into real estate into something that could be is going to be the next big thing. This is the era of crypto. Okay. The idea of decentralizing the big corporate banks they've been trying to do for years. The idea of putting money into small countries in Africa who never had access to banking systems, who couldn't get loans because there were no retail banks. That system wasn't there. Now they've got phones. Right? They've got iPhones just like you and I do, and they're going to be able to invest just like you and I do. Globalizing the currency system is absolutely the future. The question is who's going to get there first? And I can tell you that I'm going to be a part of that growth, and I hope you will too. In the meantime, don't stop real estate investing. Understand that market very well, but I can tell you crypto is a long, slow burn. So you put a little money in, you watch it grow while you're continuing to do what you know better, at least in my case, in the real estate investing space. The combination will retire you and future generations. And if you do nothing, like most people do, you're going to end up exactly where you are right now. No harm in that. If you're happy where you are, then stay what you're doing. But if you're going to make any growth, you got to make some changes. And I think crypto is a great place to change. We're at our end of time today, so we're going to wrap up with that. Listen, guys, a lot of cool stuff happening on the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. We are focusing now on making sure the real estate investors are getting the information they need to get started in the real estate market. If you want to become a part of that, 2 ways to do it. Number one, you got to reach out to Jonathan Winston, the executive producer of the show, and have a conversation with him about how to get started with your coaching program. The contact information is always part of the show notes. You can go to the website. We just want you to join up. Let's have a conversation. Let's start working together if you're ready for coaching in that space. And in the meantime, if you've got a little bit of discretionary income, it's much easier to enter the crypto space than it is the real estate space. You need more money to get started in real estate, right? But if you got $50, $60, you can start throwing towards that. You will see just a habit of saving and growing your investments. That may get you the money that you need to start investing more in real estate, which gets you more money to put back into crypto. And that's how you're going to grow ultimately, is by investing your money in long-term plays. Okay, that's how we're going to get there together. With that, I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donnie Coram, reminding you now and always, don't buy a house, buy a deal.
Want more of the Foreclosure Deals Coach? Like our Facebook page, Foreclosure Deals Coach, for the latest in real estate and foreclosure investing. Become a part of our community. Search Foreclosure Deals Coach on Facebook to join today.